So forgiveness is very important. Another lesson is to learn to be happy even when in the company of a negative person. That is, even when he is other-inflicting, that is, when he is criticizing and accusing us, not to get into the role of the child and feel the need to protect ourselves from our parent who is accusing us. Because usually we get into that role when someone raises his voice. And secondly, when he is self-inflicting, not to take responsibility for his reality and to feel that we are a failure because he's not happy, or to feel that it would be a sacrilege to be happy when he's not. Because many people have that kind of programming. How can I be happy when my spouse is not or my child is not? And the question is whether my unhappiness helps their unhappiness. And it usually comes from the role that I am the creator of the reality of the other person. Now, in relationship to criticism, because we have difficulty accepting criticism, there are two possibilities when someone criticizes us. One possibility is that he's right, to some degree. That he's saying something which is true, that we could improve something, or that we are making a mistake. And the second possibility, that he's not right, that it's his own subjective perception, which has nothing to do with our reality. In the first case, when he's right, we have everything to gain by listening. We have nothing to lose but our ego itself. We have everything to gain by listening and hearing what he has to say. We may be able to see something in ourselves which we ourselves find difficult to see because we're not as objective towards ourselves as others can be. So there's no danger. The danger, we feel the danger because we're identified with our personality and we feel that we're not worthy of love if we are not perfect. Once we can employ that thought, I'm not perfect, but I deserve love. Once I can realize that I do deserve to be loved, even though I'm not perfect, even though I make mistakes, then everything is all right. Or once I realize I am not the personality, but I am the witness, the soul who is observing the personality, then it's like someone coming up and saying, you know, your car has a scratch. I don't stay for hours trying to convince him that the car doesn't have a scratch. I look at the scratch and then I see what I'm going to do about it. But when he says your personality has a scratch, then we get all upset. And we try to explain to him for hours that our personality doesn't have a scratch. Because we're identified with it. So once we can disidentify, to detach ourselves from the personality and realize this personality is an organ, an instrument in the process of evolution. I am not that. I am an immortal consciousness, and this is a temporary vehicle through which I'm expressing myself, just as a car is. And if he says there's a scratch, there's no danger about it. It doesn't mean I'm not worthy of being loved. It's not the end of the world if I've made a mistake, or if I have some negativity within me. And to look at that. So in the first case, there's no need to feel danger. That someone may see that there is something which is not functioning harmoniously in our personality. In the second case, in which it's his own subjective illusion and has nothing to do with our reality and who we are and what we are, again, there is no danger. It's his problem, it's his perception. We can try to help him to understand differently without having the attachment for him to understand differently. One of the tests on the spiritual path is to learn to live with the fact that there are people who don't love you. And to learn to live with the fact that there are people who may even hate you, who think very negative things about you, and to be able to live with that, and to accept that, and to be able to love them and feel positive feelings towards them, even though they may feel those or believe those things about you. That is, to be able to accept. Doesn't mean you don't try to change that reality, but when you cannot change it, that you can live with that and feel comfortable with it. It doesn't cause you to feel that you're not worthy because there are people that don't love you or feel negative things about you. So in the case of criticism, there is no real need to answer. We can just say thanks. Thanks for the criticism. I'll look at it. I'll get back to you after a few months. There's no need to say yes, no, you're right, you're wrong. I'll get back to you on that. I'll look at it. Thanks a lot. And look at it. Our immediate reaction is no. This is not true. Impossible. Or yes, you're right, I'm not worthy. There's no reason to make it. Let's hear it and let's put it on that shelf that we have in our mind and let's look at it. We have nothing to lose. Our self-worth and our safety are not dependent on that. It is a fact that we make a lot of mistakes. It is a fact that we are not perfect. Once we accept that I am not perfect, announce it to everyone. Announce it. You know, a lot of people receive criticism because they believe they have to be perfect. And they just receive it from life in order to get free from that attachment. So if you just go around announcing to everyone that you're not perfect, they'll have a much lesser need to criticize you. People just love to find mistakes in the person who plays the perfect. They want to find what mistakes can we find in this person. Okay. Now another thing we need to learn through the contact with a negative person is spiritual discrimination, and that is to get free from the two-sided coin, which is he's responsible for my reality, I'm responsible for his reality. So it's very important to get free from when he's blaming us, to get into the thought form that I am to blame. He's not happy. He is responsible for his reality. That doesn't mean I don't listen to what he's saying and see that maybe I'm doing something which I would not like him to do to me, and to change that. Or in the other case, when he is not happy and he's feeling depression and not accusing us, but again we feel that we are responsible for his reality. And so the need to learn mutual respect, that is, respect for ourselves and respect for him simultaneously. There are some people who respect themselves and don't respect the other, others who respect the other but don't respect themselves. And there's a word here which I think expresses that, and that is to be assertive in our relationships. Rather than being aggressive, or rather than giving in continuously and sacrificing what we believe and what we need, to be very clear, to be strong and loving and assertive simultaneously. That is, to respond to that person in a loving and respectful way, but in an assertive way with respect to our needs and our desires also in that relationship. That is, for there to be equality. And for there to be equality, it means that I have to also respect myself in that relationship, but that I also have to respect the other. So that I always want to communicate with the other in a way which does not demean him, which does not lower his self-image, but at the same time does not cause me to demean myself or to put myself on a lower scale in relationship to him. Two adults who are communicating in an adult way with equality.